All right. Welcome everybody to the May 2022 Argo CD and Rollouts community meeting. I'm your host for today, Jesse Soon, and today's agenda will be, looks like it's pretty light. Alex will be going over the upcoming Argo CD 2.4 release. And before we get started, just a reminder that the Argo project adheres to the CNCF Code of Conduct. So please be courteous and respectful during this meeting. And also, please note that this meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube afterward. And also, if you do have any agenda items or issues or discussion topics, please feel free to add them to the Google Doc, and we can address them after the presentations. All right, so our first agenda item is actually going over the 2.4 release, and Alex has prepared a short kind of presentation about this. Alex?
Yeah, thank you, Jesse. Okay, so yes, I'm Alex, and I'm a software engineer and actually architect at Acuity, and I, as Jesse said, prepared a presentation about the release. Let me start from sharing my screen. Okay, and can you please confirm you can see it?
Yep.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so as you know, we are trying to release Argo CD every 3 months, and it's been around 3 months since we released 2.3 release. So just the right time to release the next one. And I want to start from just giving you a short summary of what was of the number of changes that we developed. So we've got around 300 commits from 88 contributors, and this is we are very consistent. We get around that number of commits every release. And I want to start from saying thank you to everyone who contributed and helped to get us to this point and develop that release. And so in those 300 commits, we've got around 20 features and 41 bug fix and a lot of documentation improvement, which I didn't count here. And we also had 3 major features that I want to cover today. And I want to start from one feature that was anticipated by many users. So as you might know, Argo CD is not just a GitOps separator, it is also a very powerful Kubernetes dashboard, and it helps a lot to the end users, to developers, to understand the state of their applications. And so developers can use Argo CD UI to view the Kubernetes resources hierarchy. They can get detailed information about some resources. And if the resource happens to be pod, it is possible today to get the live logs of containers emitted by containers in the pod. And starting with 2.4 release, it will be possible to actually get SSH access to the pod right from the web user interface. And this feature is it's really interesting to see it in action. And that's why I decided to just quickly show it to you. So let me exit the full screen and quickly switch to the Argo CD instance that I run locally. And so this is the application details page that I described just now. And I have a pod here. And so to use that feature, you just need to click on any pod in your application, and you will get a new tab called Terminal. And so if you click on Terminal tab, it immediately starts basically exec into the pod, into the first container. You should be able to select from the containers list if you have many containers. And that's it. Basically, you can just run any command. You can explore the file system. You can read files like I just did. So it's a fully functional terminal. And hopefully it will be very useful to many engineers. And we are quite excited about that feature. And let me switch back to the presentation. That was a really short demo, but I hope it really kind of shows you the power of this feature. I wanted to just add a little bit information about the feature. So we made a decision to basically automatically choose the shell, starting from the most powerful one. And this is the list in which order shells are being chosen. And information about that feature that worth knowing is that it leverages WebSockets, and that applies some restrictions. Basically, if you're exposing Argo CD behind a load balancer, it needs a WebSocket connection. And hopefully it's not a big problem. Most of the modern load balancers supports WebSocket, but just be aware of it. The WebSockets must be enabled. And last but not least, I want to thank Ben White from ByteDance and his colleagues who developed that feature. And yeah, that's a really great contribution. And I see some chat messages. I believe we will address it shortly. Okay, and there is a question from Dan about RBAC. It's a very good question, and I'm going to talk about it in the next slide. So both features, both logs and the new web terminal feature definitely give a lot of power to developers. We heard about it from the community about logs. And that's why in the new version, we are introducing role-based access control rules that cover logs and the web terminal feature. So basically, this little YAML snippet kind of gives you a high-level understanding of how those rules are going to look like. Basically, we are introducing two new verbs that have to be given to user, so that user can get logs access or ability to launch a terminal. Verbs called logs and exec. And in order to preserve backward compatibility, logs are available by default to everyone, and you can kind of enable this additional role-based access control using a new flag. Hopefully, you can see the flag name on my screen, and so there is a new flag in the Argo CD CM config map. Yes, so to start leveraging RBAC for logs, you must set this flag to true. For web terminal, basically, it's available by default. And I believe in the next version, we're going to switch default for logs to true as well. So everyone will get, RBAC kind of enabled out of the box. Yeah, and that feature was developed by Regina. Thanks a lot, Regina, for building it and for going through full review process. For peer review. Okay. Hopefully that answered the question about role-based access control. And I'm ready to move on to the next one. So the next few changes, hopefully are good news for Argo CD operators. So basically, if you are an operator who run a big Argo CD installation that manages thousands of applications, you will have to fine-tune resources of your Argo CD instance. You might have to give more memory, more CPU, and you really need visibility to see if the changes that you're making are helping to improve performance. So far, we were providing only Prometheus metrics and Grafana dashboard. And starting with 2.4 release, we now have open telemetry tracing integration. And basically, first two components that get this feature are Argo CD server and Argo CD repo server. Basically, those two are responsible for serving API calls and for manifest generation. And those two components now have a new flag that let you specify open telemetry collector address. And so if you have one, you will have to specify it in that flag. And then Argo CD will start forwarding traces to the collector. And you can use Jaeger UI, for example, to view those metrics. And this is the screenshot of one of Jaeger UI. Yes, and that feature was developed by Ben from ByteDance again, which is awesome. So thanks a lot, Ben, for the very useful contribution. Right. The next change, the next big change, I would say, that we are making is, again, a good news for Argo CD operators. So we are expanding a list of supported architectures. So starting from 2.4, you can run Argo CD on a PowerPC and IBM X. And that feature is that the very last commit that introduced it is not maybe so big, but it took us a lot of preparation to get rid of all the binaries that we bundle, to reduce the number of binaries that we bundle into Argo CD image. So that made it possible to actually support additional architectures. And a nice additional side effect is the image size was reduced significantly. It is now 35% less, around 35%. And this is the proof that so on the right side of this slide, you can see a screenshot of the most recent state of our query repository. So as you can see, we have now 4 tags, and each image is around 130 megabytes. Before it was close to 175 megabytes. So we reduced the image size significantly. And the feature that actually introduced the additional architectures came from external contributor again. So this is the feature was contributed by Sam. Thanks a lot to Sam, and that's great to see so many contributions coming from external contributors.
So did we get rid of the Python dependency completely?
Yes, there is no more Python in Argo CD. Yeah. So with the last few binaries that we have are basically Hellman customized. This is it. Nothing else is in the image. And Argo CD binary itself.
I just want to answer the question from Sri about the you had a question about if the terminal is blocked on the cluster, what would be the Argo CD behavior for the terminal feature? So okay. I think I know the answer, but maybe you can answer.
Okay.
Go ahead, Alex. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. I basically I didn't think about. Yeah. I'm not sure if I have the best. If I know the right answer, but I believe if terminal is blocked, Argo CD will. It will act like any other terminal. You will just. You won't be able to type anything. But as soon as you close the terminal, Argo CD will close the connection, and it will basically the binary will die in the Kubernetes itself. So it should not, basically, it should be as good as kubectl exec,
yeah,
because we're pretty much using the same code as kubectl exec.
Right. So I'm not sure if they're blocking it through just normal Kubernetes RBAC, then
I see.
I don't know the answer. Like it depends on how they're blocking it. If it's normal Kubernetes exec blockage, I don't know, like Kyverno is doing something magical.
I think the question, what I answered, it was about, I assumed that block terminal means, it just hang. The binary that you executed hang and not responding. So sorry, I didn't answer. Yeah, so if it is blocked by Kubernetes, yeah, you will just get an error message, I guess, saying that, yeah, it is blocked.
But if they're blocking it through some more trickier ways, like I know blocking system calls at the OS level or something, then I think it basically has the same exact behavior it keeps you to exec, because that's what is leveraged in the implementation. So hopefully that answers the question.
I just noticed a comment from Michael about. Okay, sorry. Let's finish speaking about previous question. Sorry. I think the person who asked it wanted to say something. Go ahead, please, if you want.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and I wanted to. I noticed a comment from Michael. So he mentioned that the snippet here is not actually accurate. So we are changing the verb that you have to give for exec from get to create, because this is what is in the Kubernetes, and so Michael improving it to make it consistent with the Kubernetes RBAC. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a better change.
Thanks, Michael. All right. So any questions about images and platforms?
Hey, Alex, one question on the terminal thing. So for example, if the pod, if the container running inside the pod doesn't have any terminal available, like distroless or anything like that, what will be the behavior? I guess it will try to call that binary inside the container.
Yeah, Argo CD literally trying to guess that shell starting from the most advanced ones. If it gets nothing, it's the UI will show an error message saying that no shells available.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know that I think it's basically that feature can be improved in the future. Right now, the API itself allows you to just specify the shell you need, and we didn't think about user experience for that, and definitely can be done as improvement. We can let users specify the shell in the UI. Okay, right. This is actually the last big feature, and I have one more. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I have a slide. The full list includes around 20 features, and it was just impossible to list all of them. So I just prepared a short sample of other notable contributions that might be useful for for every Argo CD user. And you will find more information in the release blog. But this is the sample, just to thank you for people who contributed the changes. So we've got several interesting contributions. One is ability to disable deployment to the control plane cluster. That's the important feature for installations where Argo CD is used mostly to deploy to remote clusters, and control plane cluster is used just to host Argo CD. And if you're a provider of such Argo CD, you want to prevent users to deploy anything into control plane cluster. Now we have a setting to disable it. And next exciting feature that a lot of people were waiting for is a native support for GCP authentication if you're managing GKE cluster. We had support for AWS, and a lot of people use it for AWS, and a lot of users wants to get the same feature for GKE clusters in Google Cloud. So now it is possible. You can craft a declarative definition of a cluster secret that basically has no token. It just uses native Argo CD feature to use just Google authentication. Next improvement is again for operators who uses maybe managed, basically who run Redis themselves, and typically that's the managed Redis in the cloud. And now it is possible to secure the connection between Argo CD and Redis using username and password. And in that release, we've merged application set code into the Argo CD itself. Now the changes in application set are more visible, and this is one of such changes. Basically, we've got a support for a new Git provider called Git.ai. So application set can now notice branches and pull requests in the Git repo hosted by Git.ai. Yeah, and that's great to see so many changes coming from external contributors. And finally, I wanted to just mention that in this release, we're upgrading some tools and deprecating some tools. So as usual, we upgraded Customize and Helm to the most recent version. And I want to highlight that we are dropping completely Hazelnet and Helm 2. Both tools were deprecated long time ago, probably 2 or 3 releases ago. And specifically Customize is pretty much dead for a couple of years. And now we are removing both tools from Argo CD. Yeah, so just be aware of it. And this is it. That's the end of presentation. Yep. Feel free please to ask any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Alex. Any questions people have in the room about the Argo CD 2.4, either what Alex showed or in general? When do we think this will land?
Oh, thank you. Yes, so the plan so far is to basically discuss it tomorrow with contributors. I know we have few PRs already that has to be that are waiting to be merged, but those PRs will be merged most likely today tomorrow we're going to give another call, ask every contributor if they really want to get something in before the release. And hopefully, if we don't find anything blocking, we can create a release candidate tomorrow as well. And then typically we
It takes like a,
fix bugs.
yeah, takes another few weeks.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I echo Dan's sentiment. Great work, everyone, on this release. Yeah, it's actually when Alex compiled the list, I was like, wow, that's actually impressive list of that was done in just a short period of time. So yeah, thanks everyone. Any after topics, and just Argo CD rollouts in general, not necessarily related to 2.4 that people have.
Yeah, I have one question related to rollouts. So few weeks ago, we submitted an issue. I just copied here. Is there any plan or something queued this one to work? I don't see any comment related to this one. I mean, this is
bring it up.
row. Yeah.
Sure. Can you summarize this? So,
yeah, sure. So the rollouts extension, right? There is a file given extension.tar file to be specified. So in our organization, we cannot store tar files in the GitHub. So we want this one to be placed in the Nexus and read it from there. But in the manifest, we don't see any provision to specify the secret to get it from the, Nexus.
So, okay. So the limitation is that you want this to be behind some password protected
Yes.
HTTP server, and the implementation doesn't provide a way to specify like the fact that this can be extracted. So I think this is a current limitation, but I can suggest a workaround. So at the end of the day, extensions are basically taking this tar ball and extracting it to some subdirectory in there, like TMP, that just kind of holds it in a I think in a convention format that Alex might know better. And so I believe it should be possible to work around this limitation by extracting it yourself, either as a init container that extracts it beforehand, and then as long as the file is in place by the time Argo CD server is running, the extension will work. So it's not a solution. I mean, it's a workaround to this limitation, but it's I think the proper solution is that we support credential-based access to HTTP servers.
Yeah, I think I will comment on the ticket, and I will just provide you exact instructions to kind of unblock you quickly. And also, I'm going to move the ticket from rollout extension into another repository, Argo CD extensions. Basically, we have two repos, and rollout extension is an implementation of rollout specific. And the other repo, I put it in the chat, Argo CD extensions. This is like a proper place. So yeah, it will get more visibility if it's in that other repo, and hopefully we'll get implementation.
Sure. Yeah, thank you.
By the way, does anyone happen to know if we have the same limitation for Git access? Do we support credentialed access for?
I don't think spec has it right now. I think spec, we spoke about it. We have room for the spec, and then internally it uses go-getters. So there is no problem to basically the backend supports, but we expected that most likely extensions will be available externally. So we didn't know anyone is going to, yeah, so basically short answer is no. I mean, Git right now do not support credentials. It has the same problem. but it's really easy to add support for credentials.
Cool, thank you.
So, I mean, do we have a plan in queue to, I mean, provide sometime in future, right?
Yeah, and then just to clarify, like Argo CD extensions is not tied to Argo CD release cycle. This project can move much quicker. Yeah, and so pretty much. Yes,
Yeah, this is an independent release process from Argo CD. So what Alexis is saying, like if this gets fixed earlier than 3 months from now, then it's not like you have to wait till then for it to be fixed. Like you can build from tip and then run the fixed version.
I want to just I propose to continue discussion in the issue itself. Like I will provide a workaround. Hopefully it will unblock you immediately, and then I will learn from you as well. We can document the requirements kind of more carefully. Yeah, you should be able to move it right now. It's Argo CD extensions.
Yeah, this is extensions of a limitation, not a rollout extension. So.
Yeah. By the way, rollout extensions just got a recent release, so it was updated to use Argo rollout 1.2. User interface.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
good.
I think it was done like last week. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Okay. Any other topics for this meeting?
Just one last thing, right? I think Kendrick for the chat as well. So, are we actually planning to release as a part of KubeCon, or is it bit tight?
Argo CD?
Are we going to release it as a part of KubeCon, or do we do it like?
So I think we plan to create, hopefully release candidate tomorrow. If no one none of the contributors tell us about some blocking features, issues that we don't know about. And it is likely, yes, that we can release it right during KubeCon.
I mean, I would say the more important thing is the blog post announcement, more so than whether it's the GA versus the RC. But we'll have a release, whether that's a RC or GA before KubeCon. I think the GA depends on the
how many bugs?
Yeah, the incoming bugs after the RCs are out. If there's important fixes that need to just be in there before we make it GA, then that takes priority. And then KubeCon. But for sure, I think the announcement of like RCs should happen before KubeCon. I agree. All right. So I think that's it for today.
I added one thing just for those that are available to attend. Argo Contributor Summit is on the Monday of KubeCon. I put a link in to register. I think it's almost full. We have a few presentations planned. If you're interested in potentially presenting at that, please let me know. Just hit me up on Slack. We do have some available time now for that. So if you haven't registered. If you're interested in potentially speaking, maybe talking about your use case or sharing a proposal, go ahead and give me a ping on Slack, Dan Garfield.
Thank you, Dan. And the link that he mentioned is in the docs, the shared Google Docs. So you can find the link there. All right, I think that's it for today. Thank you everyone for attending this month's community meeting. And like always, we have weekly contributors meetings on Thursdays, and the workflow meeting will be in, community meeting will be in 2 weeks. All right, thank you everyone. Have a nice day.
I think the workflow meeting is probably going to be canceled because of KubeCon, right?
Oh, that's probably, yeah, that's probably gonna.
Yeah, so I think the next workflows community meeting will be in June.
All right, thanks, Henrik.
Thanks all.
All right, bye everyone.